Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonja Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good morning and welcome to the debate show. I am joined with Jack and James, J-Train. Good morning. I am Sonja. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all? All right. And so download the Roku app so you too can be in the know when we're 24/7 sports without the cost of cable. Thank you for over 12,615 who have already done so. We appreciate you. I'm Mac. We hope you're continuing to rest. We give you and Linda the biggest of respect on this morning, and we thank you so much. Gentlemen, let's get right into it. This is the debate show. This is our Saturday feature from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Saturday we are here, and we have a few questions that we think about and ponder over during the week. These questions this week were presented by Jack, our co-host here. And so without further ado, I am just here as the moderator, MC, whatever, I might chime in.
So in other words, you're not giving an opinion, Sonja. You have no opinion on anything we come up with. That's what you're saying.
I may, if it seems like it's going to be, a close call. Other than that, I'm just here to,
You'll break the tie. How's that?
I'm just here to wear my Super Bowl 50 appearance shirt for the Panthers today. All right. So the first question. Yes, thank you. The first question is NBA related. Will Dallas's trading Luka go down as one of the worst deals in NBA history? I'll let you start off, Jack, with that one, even though it's your question. I would like to get your opinion going forward.
No, I mean, it's a good deal for the Lakers. It's going to be far from the worst deal in NBA history. And Dallas might even benefit by it when all is said and done. I mean, keep this in mind. They traded Luka for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis won an NBA championship with the LA Lakers. If Luka never wins an NBA championship with the Lakers, which is a distinct possibility, because if they don't get it done this year, LeBron's only going to get older. It's only going to become harder. They can always point out, the Lakers won one without Davis, but they didn't win one with Luka. And Dallas never quite won an NBA championship with Luka. They got to the finals. They got it to a game 6. Good. They had one big year. People forget how good Anthony Davis is. Anthony Davis, when he's healthy, he's at the top of his game. He's a same level player that Luka is. You can argue that Luka's a better player if you want. I'm not going to go there with the argument who's better than who. They're different style of players. But this is Anthony Davis we're talking about, one of the best players in the NBA. The only advantage that the Lakers have on this, the main advantage, Luka's 6 years younger. You get 6 years more production from Luka if you're the Lakers than the Mavs get with Anthony Davis. Would If I could take the deal back, if I'm Dallas, would I? Yeah, I'd rather have Luka there than Anthony Davis. The 6 year age difference, Luka being a big, big fan favorite. But I don't. When all is said and done, deal isn't going to be like a colossal failure for the Mavs unless Davis gets injured and he can't produce over the years. If that doesn't happen, it won't be one of the worst deals in NBA history. And I think that Anthony Davis is going to establish himself as being a very popular Mavs player. And who knows, if he plays a good number of years, maybe even an iconic Mavs player.
Okay, and that's a good perspective. And good morning to you, Brian, over at 1A Chic. And good morning, Richard, as well. Richard says LaFlop pulled up lame last night. J Train, what's your response to Jack's comment about Luka?
I love Anthony Davis. Him and LeBron got a championship together, like you said, in 2020, and albeit in the bubble, it's still a championship. But all throughout Anthony Davis's history, he's never been, I would say, completely healthy. And I think one of the reasons why they looked at Luka Doncic and getting rid of him, because they drafted him, and with the new collective bargaining agreement, it would be a supermax. He'd be eligible for a $345 million 5-year supermax.
Wow.
And considering they looked at him like, does he look like the player in the next 5 to 10 years that we want to give that kind of money to? Considering the kind of conditioning and the the weight issues that he has and some injury prone, probably not. So we trade him off. But you trade him off to somebody. First of all, he is a superstar. Luka Doncic is a superstar, and I'll go back to you saying this is one of the worst trades in NBA history, because Luka Doncic is 25 years old. He's still a superstar. He's an alpha. He's without a doubt the leader. When he and Kyrie Irving were playing together, we know what Kyrie Irving is. He's also injury prone as well, as we've seen. He went out with a ACL tear this year, but throughout his career, he's also been injury prone too. You give the Lakers, somebody in the Western Conference, a superstar with more time to build around him, and somebody with a storied history, with all those championships. You're trying to build your brand here in Dallas, and you trade away your best asset. That's one of the dumbest moves I think that the GM could have made, and I can see why the fans are chanting, "Fire this guy! Fire him! Fire him! Fire him!" Nico Harrison, fire Nico Harrison. I don't wish any ill will towards anybody in their career, their jobs, but that wasn't a great move. And with that said, you didn't collect any assets for him. You got AD, injury prone guy. You bring him in, and not only is injury prone, he's a superstar, mind you, but he's an aging superstar. He's 32 years old. So you have a short window with him and another aging superstar in Kyrie Irving. They're both short tenured. So you got to make the best of your investment right here in maybe 1 to 2 years. And so far, it's not doing well. And also, you only got one 2029 first round draft pick. So you can't even really recoup anything until 4 years from now. So it really looks like a really bad deal for Dallas. And right now, LeBron and that's the thing. Is he truly a number one? LeBron tried to give him the reins to do that, and he never showed that he could be the number one guy. And so you now you want him to do that in Dallas, where he's older and injury prone, and playing with another injury-prone star versus Luka Doncic playing with LeBron James. They're in third in the Western Conference right now and priming themselves to try to win a championship. It really looks bad. It really looks bad on Dallas' part, and I could say that this does go down as one of the worst trades in NBA history.
Yeah, I believe that people got caught up in the names, the big star names. I think they were so caught up in having LeBron and Luca, like kind of. I don't know if they were trying to modern day this Kobe and Shaq thing or what, just in a different way. But I think that this just is something that people got caught up in names, big names, and notoriety, and bringing butts to the stands and fans to the stands and all that good stuff, and just a money thing at the end of the day. And they did want the championship, but there clearly was not a lot of financial thought put into this decision.
But you have to look at what has transpired since the deal was made that doesn't directly involve, Luka and Anthony Davis. And imagine it was reversed. Kyrie Irving gets hurt. Okay, I mean, Anthony Davis got hurt too, but as far as how the Mavs are going to do the rest of the year, Mavs have no shot at, getting to the NBA Finals, without Kyrie Irving. Forget about it, okay? Same thing had LeBron James been the one that got injured and Kyrie Irving was the one healthy. Lakers were going nowhere with Luka. Nowhere at all if they didn't have LeBron, but they do have LeBron. So the Lakers have a serious chance of causing some damage in the playoffs, while Dallas doesn't. So the circumstances have worked completely against Dallas so far. So if we want to judge the deal, it's kind of a little premature. I don't like the 6-year fact. He was 31, Anthony Davis, when the deal was made. Luke was 25. I don't like the 6-year difference. That bothers me. Also, what you pointed out, James, Nico Harrison could have, negotiated a better deal. Maybe gotten even as little as one extra number one draft pick from the Lakers. They would have wanted to make the deal bad enough. But it's like he made the deal in the middle of the night, where he hoped he could get away with it, because once he put it out there they might trade Luka, he was probably scared there'd be such a big backlash he wouldn't be able to do it. So he did it quickly, and when people woke up in the morning, it was like, wow, Luka's traded. It was like unbelievable. But it was too late to go back on it at that point. But, what happens had he traded superstar for superstar? Let's say he traded Luka even up for Giannis, for example. Maybe Milwaukee was tired of Giannis. I mean, what would people have been saying about that? They would have been, I guess, they wouldn't have been too upset in Dallas about that. They maybe would have been a little upset because Luka was a fan favorite, but they would have thought, oh, Giannis is a superstar. I think when they realize how good Anthony Davis is, like last night, for example, he led the Mavs to win, 23 points, 13 rebounds. He had his triple-double that we'll talk about a little later. And he does that on a consistent basis. The fans' feelings, I think, are going to ease a bit. I mean, I'll miss Luka. They won't be happy about it, but we'll see. We got a heck of a player in Anthony Davis. We're going to get behind him.
And good morning to you, Brent. Thank you so much. You got to come back on that one, J Train, because those are really good, valid points.
I mean, look, the biggest thing is just not having that capital. I mean, like Rudy Gobert, he already set the precedence in 2022 when Utah traded him to Minnesota, and they got 4 first-round draft picks for him. They're still going to collect. 2029 is coming up soon. Why you give Luka? I don't understand. It don't make any sense. Maybe he was doing him a favor. I don't know. To let him go to a good team, because he could have traded him anywhere. He could have traded him. I mean, it wouldn't have been a problem. Some team would have grabbed him and gladly paid that king's ransom to him. So it's baffling to me why you don't collect anything for him, considering he's young, 25, and relatively healthy, superstar, and that fan base has every right to be upset, has every right to call for the GM's job. And again, I just don't see anything that makes sense to say that you trade away your superstar. Other than I I get one small inkling at that point about having to pay somebody if you're not sure that this guy's going to be super healthy and not concerned about taking care of himself in the long run when he gets older. But other than that no, for the short term, I say 5-6 years, he's in his prime, and so that's just a bad deal. Because I mean, again, I would agree with you if you traded him for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That makes more sense. He's not injury prone. This dude, and he's a ball out there. He's the alpha on his team.
But James,
Anthony
I agree with
Davis is
you.
not.
I agree with you for the most part, except the question is, will it go down as one of the worst deals in NBA history? I don't think so. I wouldn't have made the deal. And if I could pull it back, obviously I would pull it back if I were Dallas. Great deal for LA in that they're getting a star in the traditional sense from Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Will Chamberlain, Shaq, Kobe, you know, and now they have their big star going forward, to join LeBron and Luca. He'll be like a generational Lakers star. But I think Anthony Davis is so good, even though the deal, they'll look back and say, we shouldn't have made that deal, but we got value out of it in Anthony Davis. That's my point. I don't think it's going to be a disaster of a deal.
I look. I love Anthony Davis. I love what he did for the Lakers. I like what he did for New Orleans. It's just that his age and coupled with the injury history, it's just hard to gloss over that. To me, that's where the question mark should be. If I'm going to take Anthony Davis, then I do have to recoup some more draft capital, and that's where I think that the Dallas Mavericks got fleeced. They got fleeced because there's a big age difference there in regards to. I mean, when we're 30, you on the wrong side of 30, things start going downhill. So that's just my take on it. I do think it's not a great deal at all.
Okay, bless you, Jack. Did you have any comeback, or you good on that one?
We could keep going back and forth. I think we got the point. Time will tell for sure. Okay? I wouldn't have made the deal. I agree on that point. That's just summing it up. But I think when all is said and done, we're going to get to a point where Anthony Davis is going to have a positive impact with the Mavericks, but I wouldn't have made the deal. And if I was going to make the deal, I do agree with J Train. They should have gotten more as far as, draft capital. Max Christie, good player. You could consider him the equivalent of a late number one draft choice, 2029, another number one. They should have gotten a couple of more number one picks or something, but I wouldn't have made the deal, but I don't think it's going to, be a disaster of a deal when all is said and done. But, it remains to be seen. Who knows?
Yeah, so definitely good debate there about Luca. Is that going to be the worst trade? Let's move on to our second posed question. Is the triple double in basketball overrated? I'll let you start, J Train, with that one.
Okay, cool. Look, triple double. When people talk about the triple double, they like to think about LeBron James. They like to think about Russell Westbrook. They like to think about Magic Johnson, going back as far as that. But the main guy with a triple double, if we want to look at that, I mean, for me, Jack, you may know something a little more than me with history, is Oscar Robinson. We're talking about the first guy to average a triple double in the league. In 1961, 1962, Oscar Robinson averaged 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists in the season. Mind you, this is with hand checking. This is with rough play. This is with defensive 3 seconds. These are things that they have defensive 3 second now, so guys don't clog the paint anymore. And this guy was able to do that. But this is one of the few people that you're talking about. This is where it was more of a treasure. It was more of something that you look forward to seeing once in a blue moon. He was a unicorn. Now guys can do it as if it's 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 just average. So to me, I would assess that it is overrated now. It wouldn't have been overrated years ago because it's something that's rare. It's something rare, and, but now the way the game is played, anybody can. You could. I mean, I've seen Austin Reeves get a triple double. I mean, so my point is, I mean, even though somebody like Jokic, he got 60-point triple doubles. He's a big that can shoot threes, and he's a playmaker. But the game again still allows for that. 60-point triple doubles is incredible to do, but I mean, I'm not surprised in this day and age how you can play the game. So I mean, Magic Johnson to me, probably one of the later ones to be able to do it at a high level, but also, I mean, for a big man, he was 6'9" point guard to be able to play the game. So it's just, I don't know, it's just different now. But just to give you some stats, I mean, the top five people with the most triple doubles: Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, Jokic, Magic Johnson, and LeBron James. But again, I think it's overrated now, just because of how the defense play now.
Yeah, I'm glad you invoked the name of Oscar Robertson. He's an example of a player who would be absolutely outstanding, a major star in today's game. And, they talk about the old time players. Well, they can't do this. Like LeBron made the disrespectful remark about Giannis getting 250 points a game. Watch the HBO documentary on the Boston Celtics and watch the footage of them in the 1970s, even with John Havlicek, how athletic these guys were. I mean, yeah, I don't want to hear that in one decade players got so much better. You mean Magic and Bird, who came into the league, what, like 1980? They, one decade later, the players improved so much. I mean, I don't want to hear it really, but triple double is, completely overrated. I've always felt that way. Uh, just think of what it means: 10 points a game. You can 10 points the whole game. I mean, you could have a lousy shooting percentage, but you score 10, 12 points. And we hear about these guys, they could shoot something like 5 for 18 and they'll get their points. They'll pass the ball off to someone else who'll do the work, so they'll get their 10 assists. The rebounds are somewhat impressive if you could get 10 or more. They're earned rebounds and they're rebounds that might come to you sometimes, but you do got to get in position for that. So the double-digit rebounds usually impress me the most. And that's why I hate when we hear these stats like, well, this player chipped in with X amount of points. They only shot 30%. And we're hearing about what they scored. I don't want to hear that. Tell me what their shooting percentage is. Tell me, all the shots that they took and they missed. We don't hear about that. We just hear about their point total, their rebound, their assist total. It's an overrated stat to me. I feel it's always, been that way.
What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I mean, again, I don't think it's like overrated. I just think that it's because of the defensive rules. It's just become too common now. I think it was at one point in time it was great. It was like I mentioned the aforementioned Oscar Robinson, to be able to do that, man, a whole season is unreal. And it's just, to me, clearly the team was centered around a great player. Russell Westbrook doing it when he was with Oklahoma, when there was really not much around him. I thought that was a bit impressive, even with the defensive rule changes. I just think that there was nobody else on the team, and I think he elevated players around him, and he had to do a lot more. But to be able to have it 4 seasons in a row, or 4 seasons, and do it with two different teams, maybe that's kind of impressive. But I think it was a lot better when the game was. I think the game was a lot harder in the obviously the 70s, the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. It was just a lot harder, and then I think the game has changed now drastically. So to me, there's some asterisks when you look at things now with how offensive games are played.
I mean, when you think about triple doubles, I mean, I kind of am in between. I guess it depends on the talent you have. In my opinion, a lot of players are, they're just physically built different than players that we have in the past. It used to be so outstanding and astounding, in fact, to see these players pull these triple doubles because it was less of an occurrence. But right now, like Jay Train said, we see it so much. I don't know if it's just the skill set is so different because you have kids starting to play sports at a younger age, more competitive sports as opposed to just playing in their backyard with their parents or whatever. And they're actually training for these at such a younger age that they're able to attain these in more fashion than it being an anomaly. So definitely a great consideration. Jack, did you have a follow up on that?
No, not at all. No, where I
All right.
rest my case.
All right, let's move to the third question. This is NFL related. Deshaun Watson, of course, Cleveland Browns quarterback in absentia, I should say, says he's going to make a comeback. This, despite everything that we're hearing in the media and the sport. Of course, Stefanski and everybody else basically coming out talking about they've made a mistake and basically guaranteeing this guy their leadership status with the Browns. Is the question is he's going to be proven the doubters wrong according to himself, even his own coaching staff. Do you agree? And if so, why? Jack, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I don't see where Deshaun Watson goes from here. I mean, I just don't see it. Now, he might be a very good person who did something foolish. I don't know. I'm not judging him as a person. I'll judge his act negatively. But, and I know he's working hard when he says he is to come all the way back, but he's had his opportunity. Before he got injured, he didn't show a great deal. When he had the Cleveland starting job, and then he got the Achilles injury, and he has 2 years left on his contract. And even hypothetically, let's say Deshaun Watson comes back late in the season, and let's make believe he looks great. He looks outstanding. He has 1 year left on his contract next year. Let's say he looks good. Cleveland's not going to extend him. They've about had it. They're not going to invest big money on him. Maybe if Deshaun Watson in the future sticks around for low quarterback money, maybe another team picks him up if he could come back and play well. But when he's healthy again, will he get a chance to play? Chances are he will, because Cleveland has Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco, and they're not going anywhere with Joe Flacco. He can't be part of Cleveland's future. Kenny Pickett apparently isn't that good. The Steelers wouldn't have moved on from him. And I don't think the Eagles would have let him go as their backup if that were the case. So, I believe he'll see the field again if he really wants to see it this year and get back before the season's out. And maybe Cleveland will put him in to maybe showcase him to see can they trade him for draft choice or something. But what team a couple of years from now would want to put Deshaun Watson on their roster? That's the question. Under normal circumstances, just about all of them would take him at the very least as a backup, hoping they could catch lightning in the bottle and he could somehow become his old self again or resemble it. But now, because of all the baggage he has, who would want to put him on their roster? That's a question too. There's a good chance he's going to be out of a job altogether when he really shouldn't be. At the very least, he should have a job in the NFL, a roster spot going forward in a couple of years. But I question, whether he would have that. So he has a big mountain to climb. Big mountain to climb. The only hope is he gets in a game and he lights it up and he looks really, really good. And then has another game looks really good and some team will pick him up from Cleveland when his contract runs out. Some team will pick him up and he'll as a backup or whatever, and then we'll see what transpires. You never know how someone could reinvent themselves. You never know how that could play out.
J Train.
Deshaun Watson is 29. Let's see. Last successful season that he had was in 2020, and I mean they were 4-12, but Deshaun Watson statistically had his best career season in 2020. 70% completion percentage, 4,823 yards, 8.9 yards per clip, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and he's got like 120 plus touchdowns to 48 interceptions ratio. It's incredible. 90 rushes that same season, 444 yards, 3 TDs. That said, as Jack said, he does have a mountain to climb. He has a mountain to climb. But what's interesting to me is that he actually said it. I haven't heard Deshaun Watson really speak like this at all his whole time in Cleveland. And his seasons were abysmal. I mean, we're talking about, I just mentioned almost 5,000 yards. He threw for almost a fifth of that each season. And so, with that said, if someone, I guess maybe he's hit rock bottom. I mean, I could kind of see with all this stuff off the field, whatever's going on. I mean, he was in tears when he tore his Achilles, and you could see it was rock bottom. I don't know what the situation is. I can't judge him and say these are the things that really happened or whatnot, or the evidence that's out there, because nothing's been criminally done. And so, with that said, does he have an opportunity to come back? I think he does. I think he does have an opportunity. I mean, I think it's maybe somebody that's maybe contrite, that's maybe more humble. And I saw what Richard said about the diminished skills. I agree, because a lot of his ability to succeed with passing down the field was predicated on his movement around the in the pocket, and he was able to maneuver like the best of them. And so, and he wasn't like Lamar Jackson, where he took off running as a part of his game. It was more so scrambling. I would liken him more so to somebody like Steve Young. He only took off running when it was necessary, but he can do it at a high level. And so, with that said, will he be able to do that same type of thing at 30? He's going to be 30 start of the season. September 14th is his birthday. And so I think that he still can succeed. It just may not be with Cleveland. I think it'll be a team. It would have to be a good situation where he has someone like DeAndre Hopkins or a few other guys around him. Like, if I were to put him back in Houston right now and trade places with CJ Stroud, with Nico Collins and Tank Dell and a few of those guys that were there, I think he succeeds. I think he still has the talent. I mean, again, we're talking about he was supposed to go there and revive Cleveland. We know what Cleveland is, and we know what they were for years, for decades. And so it just they gave him all the money. They put all their marbles in one player and not build around the players. I mean, that's on Cleveland. They made that mistake by overpaying a player that you thought you were gonna get, that stayed out. Like Richard said, he missed the whole season, and then when he comes back and try to play with a team that really has nothing around him, what are you gonna do? But in the ideal situation, I think he can come back. It has to be ideal, though.
I mean,
Look at some of the backups. Once Deshaun Watson is healthy, who would you rather have if you're the Commanders as a backup, Deshaun Watson and Marcus Mariota? Who would you rather have as a backup if you're Miami? Zach Wilson or Deshaun Watson? I mean, there are examples going around, but will any team give him the opportunity because of his baggage? It might not be worth it. Look, certain star quarterbacks might be able to hang around.
This is the country that has always.
I didn't hear the last remark.
I think J Train's having some technical issues.
Oh, I was saying this is a country that has always shown. Is it me? Is it me?
Yes. Hang on one second.
Can you hear me?
Jay. Hang on. Okay, go ahead now. We can hear you now.
How about now? Is it me? Good?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. So what I would say is that
What about the country,
this is a
Jake?
country.
What do
Yeah,
you talk about?
well, this is a country that has always shown forgiveness, and
Oh, yeah, they
people
showed a
who
lot of forgiveness with Ray Rice, didn't they? A lot of forgiveness with
abs-
Ray Rice.
okay, they showed it for Michael Vick, definitely. Michael
Yeah.
Vick, and yeah, I mean, he came back and got another $100 million contract too. And he was he was viled and ridiculed for what he did. I mean, maybe rightfully so. I
Well,
mean,
Deshaun
but
Watson has a job in the NFL the next couple of years because Cleveland has to pay him whatever, unless they're going to cut him straight out. The it's okay. He's secure at Cleveland. They're used to him being there. They're not going to be protests. If another team picks him up, are they going to be, and you tell me, Sonia, they're going to be nervous about the backlash that they're going to get by signing, Deshaun Watson? Is it going to be worth it to them? If he was in the prime of his career at the top of his game, yeah, there are other teams that are going to be worth putting up with the part of the fan base that might complain. But it's not worth it for backup. We saw that with Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Teams didn't like the idea of the baggage that Tebow brought around, not Tim Tebow individually, but the cult following. They didn't want to know from that, So,
I mean, I think it's one of these situations that when you're lackluster in your performance, then you have to find a balance somewhere. If you're having personal issues that are bleeding over into your performance, then that's an issue. If you could separate the two, in some way, even though this is very infamous, it's a huge magnitude of the drama that Deshaun Watson brings. His performance had to be almost flawless to kind of overcome some of that. If you bring him onto your organization, first of all, you're getting him for free because the Browns are going to pay him, that 92 million regardless. And the thing is, it's almost like in a sense he was blackballed even from being a backup quarterback, because anytime your ownership, your coaching staff, whatever, comes out and literally says we took a big swing and missed with Deshaun, like verbally says that and puts your name in there, it kind of makes it seem like you have no choice but to become a backup somewhere. And you have to stay healthy. Let's not forget that aspect. His performance was great, but it's been so long ago. This is his last chance. If whatever goes on with Deshaun, this is it, literally. Like the curtains
well,
have
he's
started
hurt,
to go.
Sonia. He won't have, he might not even play this
Right.
year.
So then that's that. If he doesn't
yeah,
play this
he
year,
probably won't.
he probably won't play again.
I mean, the odds are against him, but I mean, I just again, what you just mentioned, Sonya, like you said, come back as a backup. Again, I'll reiterate, Michael Vick came back as a backup, and when he had his opportunity to play, he shined. He showed what he could do, but he had the opportunity. I think
Mhm.
Deshaun Watson, regardless of issues, I mean, first round talent. That's the thing. Like you mentioned, Tebow. Tebow was drafted in the first round, but he shouldn't have been drafted in the first round. Let's just be real. He was not a first round talent, and we saw the play in the game. So I can see why Tebow fizzled out. But Deshaun Watson, when he had his opportunity to play again, not with Cleveland, but with a much better team, he showed you who he was as a player. So I'm not saying that, and I think part of that of his ineptitude or inability to play, like Sonya said, some things creeping onto the field. I think it was just a lot of what was going on off the field, and coupled with being with one of the worst teams in league history for centuries. I mean, not centuries, but for decades. So
I mean,
yes, it's just hard for centuries, right?
yeah.
But yes,
Like, let's be clear. They have to give him an opportunity to play. If the team says you're not playing, how are you supposed to overcome the naysayers if you're not even given an opportunity to take the field? You can't.
I think
we'll
he's going to
see.
be
Time will
back.
tell.
He's going to be back before the year's out, and Cleveland will play him, even if it's just to showcase him and hoping they can deal him elsewhere. So I think he will get a chance before the year's out. And who knows, maybe he'll play really well. You can never tell.
All right. Good morning to all the
But
viewers
also,
on. We thank you so much.
Yeah, we pretty much got this topic done. Yeah, with Deshaun, it remains to be seen. Just like the Mav Laker deal.
but again, like I said, can you hear me? Am I fizzling?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I think that he is going to. The fact that he mentioned this, I hadn't heard him say anything like this throughout these three abysmal seasons that he's had. But the fact that he mentioned he's coming back, to me, alludes that he has a little more confidence, that he's got more drive, and he's probably hungry. So I think that he may come back and play.
Yep, he will, and best of luck with whatever goes on with Cleveland and him. In my opinion, Cleveland has already looked like they're trying to move on, even with the subtle hints of signing Joe Flacco. They clearly have started to make the move elsewhere. Otherwise, I should say.
No, not really. Someone's got to play quarterback. It doesn't mean
They're
moving
gonna
on
probably end
someone.
up drafting
Kenny
a
Pickett and
quarterback.
Joe Flacco don't exactly look like they're moving on, but obviously, the owner's comments, they are moving on from Deshaun Watson, but he's still on their roster. So anything is possible. Anything could develop. You never know.
Well, he has to stay on the roster because nobody's going to pay that $92 million because they're going to get hit with that dead cap regardless if they let him go or not. So it's kind of like you just got to put him in the corner for now because you stuck with it. All right, let's move to our last question for the debate. And if we have time, we'll touch one more topic. But the last question for the debate today is: there is talk of Stephen A. Smith being a future presidential candidate. Should this be taken seriously? J Train, I'll start with you on that one.
Okay, Stephen A. Smith being taken seriously as a presidential candidate. The same guy just maybe a few weeks ago that's been in a discussion or debate or entertaining, whether you find it entertaining or not, back and forth with LeBron James over some trivial stuff. Look, Stephen A. Smith is a journalist, but he also works for ESPN. He works for ESPN, and ESPN has become a conglomerate that's taken over everything. As a matter of fact, they're looking to buy the NFL Network, is what I understand. But it's a clown show, and he is the ringleader. He's paid 5 years, $100 million. It's a straight clown show, and to say that you want to go into, potentially go into presidency, and he's going to go around talking to George Stephanopoulos. I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce the guy's name. He's going around talking to all these pundits that are like either Republican or whoever it may be, considering that he has no legislative background. He has no political science background. He even said this. He admitted this, and he said but he feels like he could actually go into this and do this. Look, Ronald Reagan was an actor, and he became a president. But to me, this is silly, man. This is just news. I think he was embarrassed, but I think LeBron James got the better of him, and everybody's giving him a hard time. And so now this comes out of nowhere, and now you want to veer into that. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's not serious. I think he's trying to take away from what happened with LeBron James and the embarrassment of the whole thing. And so everybody can stop talking about that. And now we're talking about this, but then this will die down and he'll go back into being Stephen A. Smith, the commentator. I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's serious. And I think it's just a bunch of smokescreen so that we can forget about all the craziness that happened recently with LeBron James.
I don't think the LeBron James thing embarrassed him any more than it embarrassed LeBron. It just went back and forth. It didn't make Stephen A. look like a fool, and it didn't make LeBron look like a fool. It just seemed to be petty stuff going back and forth between the two, and most people came to the conclusion, stop it, guys. Enough's enough with this silliness. Stephen A. had talked about it before, this LeBron thing. It had come up in conversation. Even you have that show, which I don't really have a lot of use for, the Women of the View. They have Stephen A. on there like they want to take him seriously as a candidate. Look, Jesse the Body Ventura became governor of, Minneapolis, right? Minnesota.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Governor of
That's
Minnesota.
what I was
Arnold
thinking about.
Schwarzenegger became governor of California. I mean, Donald Trump was a businessman. He became president of the United States. He didn't have this political experience. It's not a question of what type of job we think the names I'm mentioning, have done. That's not the issue. The issue is whether he could get elected or not. It's all about communication. Stephen A. is a great communicator. He's a great communicator. Say what you want about him. When he talks, people listen. Okay, that's why he's such a star on the sports circuit, on the talk shows, because of his personality. He can get his points across. And Stephen A. Smith also could have this argument. He does listen to other people. If he ever got in office, he'd realize he has little knowledge of what he'd be doing. So he would listen carefully to advisors and learn as he went along. I mean, it's not rocket science with this thing, listening to good advisors and, educating yourself. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, and people are gullible how they vote. It's all about manipulation in an election. The candidate that can manipulate the public the best usually gets elected. Okay, people get all hyped up about a certain issue, all scared. They don't want to really focus on the issues. They focus a lot on personalities when they vote. A lot of times more so than issues, they focus on personalities of the candidates. And maybe Stephen A. Smith will go over well with, a large segment of the population. If he's running for office, I would take him seriously. Okay? Believe it or not, because he's got the personality, and he would be running as a Democrat, and there's no one in the Democratic Party right now that's, with the possible exception of Cory Booker, who's been around a while, who would seem to be an up-and-coming star. So who knows? I mean, listen, like I said, Donald Trump is a businessman. He threw his hat in the ring and he got elected. So, and anything's possible here. I don't think it's as crazy as they're making it out to be.
Look, go ahead, Sonja, if you got something to say.
Yeah, I just want to say real briefly, I am of the mindset that presidential candidates should have some type of legal background. That's my stance. I know that we've had presidents that were actors, entrepreneurs, what have you, business people. I am of the mindset that every presidential candidate should have some type of legal background. No, you don't have to be an attorney, but at least have served as a paralegal or in some capacity at least several years, and have at least some type of political science or what have you official training.
Or military background.
Yes, military background would, so it's an either or for me. I would prefer military background, but if they don't, because everybody doesn't go in that, and I would, then it's an either or. Either have the military background or have the legal background. I don't think that our country, and I've always thought this, not just with this current administration, I've always thought literally that the country, the United States, is such a huge conglomerate of people. It is a representation of the world at its core. Like everyone has some type of connection in this world to the United States. And I think as such, you have to have not only the legal savvy, the military savvy, the discipline, the acumen from a business perspective, all of that together as one to collectively be able to interact with other people, under congressional people, other conservatives, everybody to get here. Stephen A. is known to be an independent. He's registered as an independent. He did support Kamala Harris, and he said that he agrees with both parties on a lot of things, and he would consider voting for a Republican, but never the current person that's in office. He literally was quoted as saying that. He also said that several people several celebrities, several lawmakers have approached him about actually running for office. With that being said, before we talked about it today, I probably just dismissed it. Okay, it's just Stephen A being loud Stephen A. This is just who he is. He's always inserting himself in some position or another. But if he is legit being approached by mayoral candidates and other legal personnel and people of our Congress and what have you, then maybe it's something we should actually consider. And I'm going to be honest with you, after this current election and a few other elections that I've participated in as an adult, I wouldn't totally be off put by him running for president.
Well, it's about entertainment too. I mean, the debates with Donald Trump are high rated shows because a lot of people like the entertainment aspect of the debate.
Yeah.
It's not
And
just
less
the
business.
issue. And can you imagine Stephen A. and Donald Trump at the mic? I mean, that would be kind of like it would be entertainment, you know,
Yeah,
for
that,
the debate. Really
But
entertaining going back and forth.
considering the state of our country, do you not think that entertainment should be like the last of
yeah.
our issues? I
We're
mean, that should be
already
one
the
of the.
laughing stock.
Stephen A. You said, James, in the past show, talks out of the side of his mouth. He wouldn't be able to play at all ends the way politicians do. He might try. He can't get up there. The national audience says, well, the brother said this, the brother said that. That won't go over well with a certain segment of the voters. So how's Stephen A. going to balance it out, you know, too? And why would he want to do it in a certain sense? He's making $20 million a year, has this great job for Disney and so on. And to give up that type of money to, you know, to run as a candidate, to have the headache, the stress, the this, the that. Of course, if you're guaranteed of winning the presidency, that's another matter. But to go through all that, it's like, you know, you kind of want to. But listen, one thing about life, people are always looking for the challenges. It happens in sports all the time. You have coaches in the most comfortable job imaginable, but they'll look somewhere else that's going to intrigue them. Like Deion Sanders, he has a great job at Colorado, but had Jerry Jones put a full court press on Deion Sanders, really pressured him to take the Cowboy job, Deion may have taken it. It's possible. May have taken it. You know, who knows?
I mean,
Clearly,
Richard
Stephen.
makes a good point. Oh, I'm sorry, J Train. Richard commented a business background, and he put an exclamation point behind that, and I love that. Not just a business background, a solid business background. Don't come in here with your company's bankrupt and think you can learn how to run an economic of a country. It just doesn't make much sense at all. I'm sorry, J Train. I just wanted to grab that comment.
No. Clearly, Stephen A. is ambitious. He's very. It's evident. He's very ambitious. He's come from a long way. He was from a beat writer, you know, a college basketball player with 1.5 points average. I mean, he found his niche. He found his lane, and he took off with it. So you got to give a man credit for where he is and what he's done now. But again, alluding back to what ESPN is. I mean, maybe he wants to get out of that circus. Maybe he wants to say, "I'm tired of doing this. I'm looking for, like Jack said, I'm looking for something more challenging." And clearly, that would be more challenging. But also, maybe he's still ambitious. And if you get the presidency, that's just power. You just write your ticket. You have the most powerful job in the free world. And so, yes, I mean, to say that he would do that, I don't think. Look. I still don't think I don't take him seriously because of what he gives me. What he gives me with ESPN, what he shows me there. I watch the Stephen A. Smith podcast. I take that a little more seriously, and I say, okay, this is the guy. He puts on an act on ESPN and clowns for them. But then when he's on his podcast, he has more serious topics. He talks about different things about life and different things like that. I listen to him and I say, okay, he's got something that he wants to say. And now what he wants to do, does he want to take that to the next level? I'm just not sure. I don't think he's going to do that. I just think he's going to stay where he's at with the money. And then to step into that arena, politics is dirty. If you got
Yeah.
any stuff under your the hidden under your
Yep.
carpet, it's coming out, buddy. So
But
it's just what it is.
people are always looking to advance, even though they could have the greatest job for them. They want something else. The most famous sports broadcaster in history, Howard Cosell, he wanted to do the news, the nightly news, the national news. And Rue Knowledge, the head of ABC there, in charge of that, left him at sports because he was better off, he felt doing that than actually doing the news. Look, Happy Days, Henry Winkler, who played Fonzie.
Mhm.
He wanted to do Shakespeare. And I remember my friends telling me, is he out of his mind? You play the Fonz, be the Fonz in real life, go in places with your leather jacket on, let that be you for real, even for fun. But people like to do other things and normally advance the next step. Look, we talk sports. Rick Pitino once said his dream job was at Providence College. He never should have left. And yet he's kicked around college after college, NBA. It's, people always looking for the next step. They never, they just don't seem to be that satisfied exactly where they are. Of course, there are rare exceptions like Dean Smith, Coach K, John Wooden, etc. But that's why so many coaches move around place to place. And that's why Stephen A might, want that challenge. Can he succeed in it? Should we take it seriously? If he became a candidate, I think we should take it seriously because he's a communicator and people would listen to him during the primary. And if he presented himself well enough, yeah, I mean, he could possibly be a threat. That's my point.
And thank you so much, Richard, for joining us. He says, great show today, and everybody got along. And he said he'll see us tomorrow. Thank you always for supporting us, Richard. I mean, in closing this out, as we say with everything else, time will tell. And that's why we have the debate, because it's about opinions, healthy opinions, respectful opinions, and of course, differences of opinions. But it's all about connecting with everybody in society and seeing what that looks like as a whole. It's up for grabs, unfortunately or fortunately. That's what our country is about. It's about, the free will of any person that wants to throw their name in that hat for presidential candidate. Like J Train says, bring it on. Be prepared to have yourself peeled back like an onion. But at the end of the day, you do have the right to run in this country and vote in this country for who you want to have in office, or if you'd like to be in office. Great debate today, gentlemen. Got about a minute left. I kind of want to touch real briefly, if we got some time. Jack has been known throughout this entire broadcast, at least for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I know, to talk about the Saints grabbing Shador Sanders. Looks like Derek Carr came out yesterday and said, oh, guess what, guys? I'm about to have shoulder surgery, and I probably won't be here in the next minute. If you guys can squeeze this into a minute, and if not, we'll continue tomorrow. Jack, you might
just very quickly, the X factor could be Spencer Rattler. The Saints really like him a lot and think he could be their quarterback of the future. Yeah, then they wouldn't take Shador, but I don't get that sense.
All right, gotcha. J Train, you're coming.
There's just too much to unpack there. Let's save it for tomorrow, to be continued.
To be continued indeed. And with that, we will bid you all a good morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for the Sunday Morning Big Sports Show. And stay tuned here on the Roku channel and all the networks to see all the sports shows we have throughout the day. Lots of sports coming at you. Thanks for all the likes, loves, and the shares. And thank you so much for you, B Strilla. He said you almost got that one through. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And with that, we wish you all a good day.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.